An awful lot has changed in British politics in the last week. I mean, it feels a very long time ago that Boris Johnson was in number 10. I mean, an awful lot has gone on through this summer. The pace has picked up with Liz Truss coming in as Prime Minister, Kwasi Kwarteng as Chancellor, and deciding to take the economy and the country in a radically different direction. And I think Labour strategists will be still gaming out what all that means. There's obviously a lot of reaction to the mini budget last week. It's not so much a mini budget; it's a pretty significant budget, pretty significant fiscal event, as economists call it. So I think there's still a lot of aftershocks of that, and trying to work out not only the economics of what happened last week, but also the politics of it as well. But for Keir Starmer and for Labour this week, it's about three things. It's about projecting strength. So this is Keir Starmer's conference speech on Tuesday, only his second actual live conference speech in the 3 years that he's been leader. And he's only got possibly one more conference speech before a general election. So he's going to want to use this opportunity to reintroduce himself again to the British public, to project strength and to project his credentials as a potential Prime Minister. It's also about the credibility of the Labour Party as a party of government. The party will want to present an image of unity, of being focused, of being disciplined, of talking about issues that chime with the mainstream of the British public. There was a spokesman for Starmer the other day said that the Labour Party wanted to project itself back as the political wing of the British public, which is a nice line that's been used before in Labour history, but I think sums up what they're trying to do, which is to say, we're on your side, we're on the same wavelength. Perhaps we've not been for a few years, perhaps we've looked like we were talking to ourselves, and we've been talking about things that might seem a little bit esoteric, but we're back talking about bread and butter political issues, as you say, as Tom was saying just a minute ago, talking about the NHS there today. And it's also about projecting fresh ideas, fresh thinking. Labour is going to try and set out some of its economic narrative. So this is the response partly to last week as well, and to establish these dividing lines between it and the Conservatives. So it will start to flesh out which taxes that it may support in terms of the cuts, so the basic rate, I suspect, and also the taxes that it opposes. For example, the removal of the 45p highest rate on earners of 150 grand or so. So it will try and establish a dividing line between Labour and the Conservatives, try and bed that in and get behind, as Tom was saying quite rightly a few minutes ago, a few simple policies. And Keir Starmer's alighted on the idea of turning Britain into a superpower for renewable energy. And I think this is the politics of this are quite clever, because he's trying to reach out to the left of the party, trying to reach out to people who are environmentalists and Green campaigners, and say, actually, Labour's the party for you. He's got a slight problem this week with that, though, because the GMB union, which represents lots of power workers and people in the nuclear industry, wants Labour to embrace nuclear energy, and is also quite open to the idea of more fracking. So that's going to be quite interesting to see, particularly on the conference fringe, the reaction of the GMB union, which is one of Labour's biggest backers. So it's not all plain sailing, but this week for Labour is about strength, credibility, and establishing some fresh ideas.
And he, I think, is making a big speech today. Also, Angela Rayner, I think, is. Have either of them, or both of them together, I don't know, got the charisma, got the personality to make a big speech? They're ahead in the polls at the moment. They should be building on this, shouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. This is an absolutely key moment. This is a real inflection point. You know, Labour needs to show it's in the game. It's a credible party. It's trying to sort of meet Liz Truss where she is and push her back early. They won't want a prolonged honeymoon for Liz Truss. It's obviously the Conservatives conference next week, so it's a great opportunity clearly for Liz Truss to do that. So Keir Starmer and Labour don't want to be pushed out of the debate. I think Tom was quite right in saying a few minutes ago what we've had in the last few years with COVID, with Partygate, with Boris being a very big personality, that Labour's kind of been in the shadows a little bit. So it's the chance to be centre stage, to set out a stall, to try and resonate with the British public, and try and establish and lock in that opinion poll lead as we go into the autumn and politics resumes in a few weeks' time.